Hi everybody and welcome back to the Creative Challenge in Illustrator. So today we're gonna be learning how to sharpen your skills and we're gonna be exploring new techniques with Adobe Illustrator and in particular focusing on illustrations. So we're starting with an illustration challenge, and if you're watching from YouTube, make sure to head on behance.net/live and actually let me refresh the chat so I can read your comments live, say hi to you. In fact, I would like to say hi to everybody that is joining us right now in the chat. Make sure to drop your comments in chat so I can literally answer your question as we go. And talking about starting, it's time to get started and see what we're going to be working on today. So if you want to follow along, actually, let me tell you that before we start. There are two options. You can watch a stream, chill, relax, and then maybe bookmark it because this is going to be available on a replay, so you can always come back and watch the stream and work together afterward. Or you can just click on the description below and access the link. I've provided a file for you to get started and working together. So all you gotta do is to launch Illustrator and meet me there. In fact, let's go back into our lovely Illustrator. Here it is. So you can actually see what the file that you can download looks like. Looks like my volume is very low. Let's see if we can fix it right away in the chat. Hopefully this is a little bit better. Let's make it louder and louder. Let me see, and I can bring the mic next to me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Let's try this. And in the meantime, we're just starting up, and we are now looking at the actual files that you can download. In here, you will be able to access our challenge 1 in Illustrator. So here you can, in fact, open the file. We already have a color palette that will be available for you to use throughout the stream and throughout this particular challenge. And in particular, what you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. If you head into the layers panel, by the way, if you're new to Illustrator, this is also a challenge that you can come and work together and do with us, because I'm going to explain everything from the very beginning. So for example, if you do have these new layers and you don't know what layers are, well, as you can see here, the layers panel just looks like that. A panel that says layer. Let me zoom in for you to see. Here it is. And if you cannot find it into your workspace, all you have to do is to head to the window menu and then select layers. By clicking on layers, the layers panel will pop up and we're going to be on the same page. In fact, here what you can find inside the layers panel are layers, which are containers that I already prepared for you so we can work together. And I want to start to give you a little bit of a background on today's illustration challenge in Illustrator. We are going to be creating a 3D character. So we're going to start with flat shapes, and then we're going to move into actually create a full character and move it into 3D. Now, something that is very important here in the way that I've created this layer, you can click on the little plus icon and you see that you can create a new layer. You can create as many as you want, double click on it and rename it. Now, the reason also you can just simply delete it by dragging in the bin or select it and click on the bin. Now, the importance of the layer stack that is there, so the order all the layers inside this layer panel will display the content that is inside each one of these layers on top of the object that are below. So it's very important that you organize it in a very nice way, and depending on the content that you want to display. So we can see here that we have a color palette, which is what is displayed there. And then we have also background, 3D layers, your illustration, also Kladi illustration. So if we run out of time, we already have a final little cat illustration. That was my illustration that I created, but you can literally use these techniques for any character that you may want and you may want to work with. And the goal of today's challenge is to create and transform these 2D characters into a 3D characters. And we're going to be doing that with the wonderful 3D preview, which is absolutely magic. You're gonna love it. It is a tool that is evolving. It's pretty new, was launched last year at Max. So let's get started by clicking on your Illustrator, your illustration, which is this red layers over there that will allow you to start creating. Now, if you want, you can keep my illustration, Kladi's illustration there for your reference. That's absolutely fine. And I'm going to show you how have I used simple shapes to create the cat. As you can see, probably you can notice right away, especially from the outline, those are just simply squares and rectangles and triangles. So all we have to do is to select our lovely shapes to get started. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start from the rectangle tool. And I'm just going to use this space below here, or maybe we can just go on the final there. So I'm just going to go ahead and click and drag to create a rectangle, and this is going to be the face. Now, if by any chance you are drawing on a different layer, so your illustration layer is not selected, don't worry, you can paste back and forth at any time. And then what I'm going to do here is to click and drag the corner of the bounding box just to create a more rounded face. And I'm going to do the same by using the start tool and click and drag in, but in this case I'm going to use the arrow keys in order to move the number of our arrows. So in this case we're going to move from a star by pressing the little arrows on your keyboard into just 3 sides. You can also access the properties panel in order to edit your shapes. In particular here for the corner, let's go ahead and just place the little ear on the side of our little cat. We can make it a little bit smaller. If you want to resize it proportionally, you can always hold the the shift key while resizing, and then like we did before, we can press the letter A to access our little corner widget tool. You can also double click on them if you want to make sure what is the radius of your corner, and you can choose whatever you want. I think something like 40 will perhaps work with us, and you can have a rounding tool that makes your relative rounding or an absolute rounding that just change the shape of your round. Also, if you want to have, some sort of fancy illustration, you can change the shape of the corner in, I don't even know how to pronounce that, is chamfer versus inverted round. So as you can see, you can have very different shapes with your corner, which is pretty fun. Then simply click on OK. Now I'm going to use the Command C or Control C on Windows and then Command F to paste and duplicate in place. And then here from the Properties panel, I'm going to flip it horizontally. And then I'm going to simply move it on the side. All right, so that's how we get the basic shape for the head. Then we can click and drag to select them all. And then from the Pathfinder options, which are here under the Properties panel, use the Unite in order to create your main shape, which is your head. And otherwise, if you wanted to keep them separate, like I did in my drawing, you can simply bring them below by selecting them both while holding the Shift key and use the Command Shift left bracket. That will be the Control Shift left bracket if you're working on a Windows, in order to bring them backwards. If you want to bring something to the top, you can use the right bracket, while if you want to bring it back, you can use the left bracket. Now I'm going to show you real quick how you can also create the eyes, although that's even simpler than these shapes because all they're simply circles. So we're going to press the L key on the keyboard to access the ellipse tool and click and drag to create a circle. Use the Shift key if you want to create a perfect circle. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and press Command C, Command F to duplicate. And I'm going to make a smaller one to create the little, reflection on top of the eye. You can place whatever you want. Another way of copying is also to holding the Option key while clicking and dragging over the object that you have selected. So I'm going to zoom in and actually redo it so you can see. I'm going to hold Alt key, click and drag, and this is going to generate a copy. And we can also resize that in order to make it smaller. And here we have our little eye with the reflection ready to go. So now I'm just going to click and hold the Shift key on the keyboard to select the shape that I want to keep together and press Command G to group them. And like we did for the little ear, Command C, Command F to copy and paste in place, and simply use the Reflect tool to flip them horizontally from the Properties panel. Here it is. Let me show you what it does. Boop. It just reflects it on the other side, and then we can move it on the other side of the head. Now, if you want to make sure that those are centered in the little face, all you have to do is to select them both, group them again with the Command G on Mac, that's Control G on Windows, hold the Shift key to select the head. Now click one more time and you will see that the face becomes highlighted. And then from here we can select align to the key object, which is the face that is aligned, and we can just select to align it horizontally to the center, and if you wish to do so, also maybe to the center of the face, so it just looks like it's got these very big cute eyes. So you can move on and add as many details as you want, and then all you're left to do is to simply select each shape and press the letter I on your keyboard, which is the eyedropper tool. You can also access the eyedropper tool here from the toolbar. Let me show you nice and quick how it works. And then you can go ahead and select any colors from the color palettes, just like so. So what about the eyes that now we have grouped? Let me show you a very cool feature, which is the select from group. So if you click and hold on the direct selection tool, you can access the group selection tool, which allows you to select specific object from a group. So you can literally go ahead and select each single object, even if they're from different groups, and then you can switch to the letter I to select the color that you want. So same here, we can go and select the group selection tool and just click on the two eyes and then select the color blue for the eyes. Perfect. So hopefully you are almost a step there, ready to transform this flat illustration into a 3D illustration. I'm gonna move that to the side, and I'm actually gonna swap into the little face that we've created here, because I wanted to talk more and use more time to actually talk about the 3D and the magic preview, technology preview that is available now in Illustrator. It's just mind-blowing. I've seen so many artwork online. So let me show you how we can do that. First of all, you can also use the illustration that I've created, because it's there for you exactly for this purpose, for you to use it. So let's go ahead and select the layers panel and unlock. At the moment it is locked, because I just wanted to leave it there, making sure that while we were designing and using shape, it was not going to get distorted or modified. So we can click on the little lock tool in order to unlock it, and now you will see that we will be able to click on these different layers. So you can go ahead and do so and use my illustration as a starting point, and then you can have fun and replicate this technique with any other illustration you wish. So what we're going to do now is to head to 3D layers, because what is important when building 3D is not to chuck everything there at once. And let me show you why. So actually, let's do an example. Let's get everything at once to get started. Then you can hold the Option key like we did before and drag to create a copy. Now with everything selected, so click and drag over your artwork to select it in full. And let me zoom in so we can actually center on our kitty face. I'm going to go ahead and under Window, select the 3D and Materials, a new panel, which is a brand new workspace that allows us to access this wonderful 3D technology preview in Illustrator. From there, the specific effect that we're going to be using is the Inflate effect. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Inflate to apply this effect. And here it is. So it applies it to the entire face, which it's actually cool, but let's have a look. The little highlights, they're not shadow, the little highlights on top of the eye are treated as part of the same, inflated figure. So it looks like almost they're poking inside the eye, and the eye are actually popping out of his face, which is completely fine if that's what you wish to do. But let me show you a better techniques in which you can actually use that in separate layers, so you can apply different levels of 3D and different effects, or tune in the effects depending on how you combine it together. So I'm going to press Command Z to undo, and I'm going to select the eyes like we did before. So you can use the group selection layer, or you can simply ungroup them and then select any elements that you wish to select separately. And I'm going to press Command C to copy it, and then we can delete it from here, and we can move in our 3D layers top layer and press Command F to paste it. Now they are below because it looks like that the rest of this illustration was in the still the Kladi illustration that we were working before. So I'm going to go ahead and press Command C to copy it as well, and move in the 3D base layer. So I'm going to delete it from there. The eyes are going to come out, and here it is. We can paste it in place in the base layer. Here it is. So we have one into the top and one into the base. Now with the top locked, we can go ahead and use the Inflate for the very base layer, and if you want, you can leave the eyes just flat there, or if you want to add more of a hump for the eyes as well, we can now lock the base And again, that is simply to make sure that while we click on different elements, we do, separate them as well, so we do not get to destroy or interact with the other shapes which we do not need to modify. And now we can head to the eyes as well, and we can still select Inflate, but what we can do here is start to have a different level of depth and different level of volume, and perhaps it looks like we might do not want to use the little speckles that we have at the top. So let me go ahead and actually remove that from the eye. So I'm just gonna press Command Z to undo. By the way, the little preview work like any other effect that you do. So exactly, if you do press Command Z, it will be just simply removed. So we can just work on the eyes on their own right now. Add Inflate, so there will be another layer on its own, and then we can put the little light speckle just on top using the shortcut Control F just to place it right there. So this is how we work it if we want to, just create a flat inflated little creature. And of course you can do many more things, like in terms of the way that you apply these rotations. So at the moment I'm just gonna select all of these, make sure that I unlock the base as well so everything gets selected, and I'm just gonna move it away just so we have a copy. Actually, let's do it a little bit better. Let's move the entire artboard. So select the artboard tool and hold the Option key and move it to the side. So we have a full copy of the drawings that we have created. Now what I'm going to do here is to grab the eyes and just move it out for a second so we can focus on the main shape. Now all you have to do here is to start and experiment with the preset. I usually start from an off axis, like either left or right, and look what happens there. So first of all, let's make sure that we select everything so we can move everything together. We can also group it so we have the same effect there. And then again, we move it left, for example, if we want to rotate it. Let's actually redo it again starting from a static illustration. Oops. Let's move everything here into our little artboard, and let's delete the eyes for now because we don't need it. Let's just do it on the face, just so you get the principle here. So once we select the little face of the cat and we apply the Inflate, once we select a preset, which it could be left or right, once we rotate it around, look what happens. Once we start to rotate our little face, it looks like there's only one side and the other one is flat. So our little cat doesn't have a back of the head. Well, you can always choose, let me see here, they inflate both sides in order to create the shape. So select your shape and then select Inflate both sides in order to apply this effect to both sides of the illustration. So now even the little ears have like this plushy back. And I'm just going to go ahead and group my little cat face. So we can apply these to the overall little cat. So again, Control G to group it together. Then use the Inflate to apply it to the overall shape. And here, once we're going to start to go ahead and select off axis, for example, left. Now that it's grouped, you can properly see it better. From the left side is inflated, but from the front side is actually super flat. So again, the same thing, selected and click, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see it properly. Click on Inflate both sides. And in just a second, it will just inflate both sides. Now, if you think that this is actually having too many valleys and the face is actually looking a bit weird, the reason is because we have worked together with the nose and the eyes. And you can also, by the way, look how cool. You can use this little widget to rotate off the Y axis, which will be the vertical line, and then we have the X, which is the horizontal line, so you can move it horizontally, or you can also spin it around using this Z line as well. Now, what happens if we want to remove, for example, the eye or the little mustache, because they're literally cutting the shape? Those are still vector that you can access and delete at any time, and in just one click you'll see we have actually brought back our face without having the little mustache that cut it around. But also you can do much more by using the lighting. You can go ahead and choose any lighting you want. You can select from where the light is gonna go ahead and hit our little kitty face. if it's coming from the top, the actual rotation, and how soft it is, and also if he has shadows. If you want to light it up more, maybe you can turn it around just like so, and then you can move the rotation of the lights so it can come from the top, and you can just go ahead and experiment with that. But also the intensity of the light, that as you can see will change the overall lighting effect. Don't forget that you can always go back, and besides the custom rotation, you can choose different presets that are there that are going to help you out to get a starting point to have actually a different approach for your 3D effect right away. And then you can build up by adding other details. So for example, here I will still remove the eyes and add them afterwards, so we have the full shape of the kitty. And if that face looks like is inflated too much, we can always go back and decrease the volume of our shape. And also you can have a little play with the actual depth and maybe increase the volume so it looks like more like a little balloon face. And then we can just simply remember that we use the off-axis front. I tend to write down all these settings, so then whenever you apply the little eyes, let's make sure that they are in the right place here. I think that we are still working on this green layer. You can then let me see, I think it was off-axis front, sorry, off-axis front, and then we rotated it. You can start by playing and adapt new different rotation per each different element of your illustration. How cool is that? So then you can do the same even with the little little speckles that we have for the highlights. Make sure that we bring them into the right layer. Let's inflate them so they have the same effect, and then use these off-axis front. I think that was the same. And then all we have to do is just place them in the right location. So as you can see, the beauty of working like that is that we can create and layer this 3D preview per each single vector, and you can edit this vector, deleting and adding shapes as you go. So you can not only experiment with the actual illustration. Let's add the little mustache and the nose again. Let's select them, select Inflate, and then used the same one, which was off-axis front, I believe, and just place it. Oops. Let's make sure that we place it on front, just like so. And we have our little 3D kitty just done in a few clicks. I don't know anything at all about 3D. And look, I'm actually resizing it to make sure that it fits my artboard. And here all I have to do is to head to my background layer, press the M tool to activate our rectangle tool, and then we can click and drag in order to create a background there. And then we can also use the eyedropper tool to select any of the color from our color palette to create a background for our kitty. And you can go ahead and experiment, but I want to show you how to take that even further. So I'm gonna go ahead and select my kitty here, and I know that we have just a few minutes, but that's literally, it takes a click to do so. We can head to our materials, and once we select materials, we will be able to access any materials that are already available in this wonderful panel. So we have many, but most importantly, you will be able to access more material from the community, and those are free for you to browse. So there are many assets that you can simply download, and when you double click, it will automatically be added to your here where it says your materials. Here it is. So from here, I downloaded something called Leopard, which I haven't done. I don't even know how to do this thing, but if you click on it, it will change your actual kitty with a leopard print. And now all you'll have to do is to use the shortcut Option Command E to export whatever artboard you wish to export inside your desktop or whatever you want ready to be shared with the world, and click on Export Artboard, and literally here it is. We created a 3D illustration. We applied a leopard material in I don't know how many seconds, definitely less than 20 minutes. Right, so I really hope that you enjoyed this illustration challenge. Don't forget there are many challenges that you can join here on Adobe Live, but also don't forget to head on this link that is just right on the side, which is the Discord channel. When you head on Discord, you will be able to share your work with the community by adding on the challenge little challenge channel there. So the community will be able to help you out by giving you feedback. You can show off your work and connect with this wonderful community of designers, professional, and of course the Adobe team that is there and our lovely mentor. So don't forget to tune in for more challenges in Illustrator. There are challenges in typography, foundation, marketing. Don't forget to join in. I'm your host, Kladi, and I look forward to see you very soon with more challenges. And in fact, we're going to be here tomorrow at 11:30 Pacific time. Stay tuned on behance.net/live for much more fun and much more content with the wonderful Adobe apps. I will see you very soon. Bye for now.